Welcome to today's training, and this training is all about scaling your store, scaling your store past $10,000 a month. So what does that actually mean? Okay, so I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, and it's more of a practical training than anything else. There's no fluff, no theory. I'm going to show you a map. I'm going to show you how to get to 10K a month or more, hopefully more. And here's the thing, it's like every store goes through 4 stages, in my opinion, right? There's 4 stages where people are stuck, and most founders are using a playbook for a stage that they're not in, right? They're trying to solve a problem in, let's say you're in stage 1, but you're trying to use stage 3 tactics. And that's a problem. That's something that you genuinely do not want to do because you're solving for the wrong constraint. And so by the end of this training, you'll know exactly what stage you're in. That's my goal. My promise to you is you're going to know where you are. And it is based on income. So prepare your numbers or have a look at your dashboard if you've got Shopify open, or if you've got your business, numbers, Stripe, whatever open. And I'm going to go through some real numbers. I'm going to go through the stages, and I'm going to help you get out of that stage, or at least you're going to know what to work on in those stages. So if you're watching this recording, comment below. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, comment below and tell me sort of where are you, right? Where are you right now? Do you have sales? Are your sales inconsistent? Are you stuck? Are you plateauing? Are you too busy? You're working on everything all at one time? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, so let's go through the 4 stages, right? So there are 4 stages, and the reason how I know that these are the 4 stages that exist is because I worked with more than 220 businesses online over the last 11 years. I've been in business before that, generating thousands and thousands daily. And these are sort of the common things that I've seen, especially when it comes to online, but it also applies to offline businesses too. And so, like I said before, what breaks at different stages is different, and the solutions are different as well. So just keep that in mind, keep that context when you're looking at yourself and you're thinking about your stage, right? And the biggest mistake that I would say is that you probably don't know what stage you're in. So let's go through that. So stage 1 is validation, and validation is where nobody knows who you are, and you haven't actually validated that the product you have is something that people want. Okay? There's no demand, essentially. Traction, we'll go through traction as well. You have some sales, but they're not consistent. It's kind of like feast or famine. You're here, you're there. Some days are good, some days are not good. We'll go through that. The ceiling, right? So maybe you have sales, you're stuck at $10,000 a month, and there's a specific reason why I'm saying $10,000 a month. I'll talk about that when we get to that. And you just can't break through. You just can't get past that 10K for whatever reason. And then the final stage 4, is you're growing, but there's infrastructure problems. Maybe there's certain things that are going wrong in the business. Maybe you've solved stage 1, 2, and 3 problems, but not maybe properly or whatever. But you're at stage 4, you're doing 10K or more, and we'll talk about that as well. Okay, so let's go deeper into validation. So validation is the stage, like I said, where people they go past it because they think that their idea is good. They think that their content is good, and they just want to push on content, right? They maybe built some sort of an offer, or they maybe built a store. They have some products, maybe it's drop shipping, whatever the product is, and they've seen maybe somebody else do something, and it's like, oh yeah, I want to go do that thing too. I'm interested in whatever it is, right? And they skip the validation part. Now, validation, just because somebody else is selling that thing, doesn't mean that you can sell it. Doesn't mean that your level of excitement, your passion, your energy, your focus, your even understanding, your knowledge of that specific niche or that specific audience or that specific product is there. So you need to validate first, no matter whether you have experience or you don't. I've been in business for 11 years online, like I said, and I still validate my offers. Even this specific training inside of the community, inside of Growth Circle, is part of this validation. Right? I want to know what you guys are thinking and whether it's actually needed, what you guys are on about. And the reason I know that this training, this topic to get past 10K a month is because I read ads against this topic. And people clicked on the ads and they're joining the community through the campaign. And so I know that this is something that people are looking at, they're thinking about, they have struggles around, and that. Okay. So like I said, you're at this, you're trying to push past this stage, fine, no problem. But essentially this is where you are. You have a store, you have a few products, and maybe you are getting some sales, right? Maybe some people from Instagram, maybe some friends from family, whatever it is, maybe people are buying, but it's not really proven until you've actually pushed it to a cold audience, until maybe you've run ads. Because, when people who know you want to support you, sure, they'll buy from you. Maybe they've been on your email list, or maybe, like I said, maybe they're in your friends group, or maybe they're on WhatsApp, or maybe they've been following you on Instagram for a long time, and maybe, they're kind of close. So those are not cold audience. A cold audience is somebody who doesn't know you at all. They never knew you existed until they saw your product or they saw you. And now it's a decision of, oh, well, do I trust this person? Do I know this person? Can I, is this product good enough? Are they going to deliver it to me? All of those things go through their mind. And so at this stage, validation, this is not a traffic problem. You do not have a traffic problem if you're still validating. Yes, you need traffic to validate, but you don't need huge quantities of traffic to validate. So this is the thing. It's like people who are in validation, or maybe who skip validation, they run straight to ads because it's like, oh, I made a few sales, I need to get some more buyers. Oh, let me go run ads because that's the quickest path to traffic. And that's not the right thing to do. Okay, you need to fix this is the fix, right? One product, one audience with proven demand. What do I mean by that? So you pick a product on your store, or maybe it's part of your funnel, whatever it is that you're doing, and you need to validate that one product with an audience to see if there's demand. That's what validation is. You're trying to prove demand. Right. And here's some things that you maybe will see, like how you know that you can't. So this is how you know you're in this stage. Okay, I'm skipping ahead. Sorry. Here's how you know that you're in this stage. One is you can't name your best type of customer. So like I said, maybe you have a few customers, but you don't know who are the best ones. You don't know if the person was a repeat buyer, if they, love your product, they gave you a review, they shared it with their friends, blah, blah, blah. You don't know this, right? Like I said, there's no repeat buyers. And your sales are coming just by you pushing, posting in groups, posting content. You make sales and then you don't. And then you make sales when you post and then you don't. Or you're sending emails, or you're, doing Messenger. Maybe you're using Messenger, or you're using Instagram DMs or some form. The other thing is, how you know you're here is you've changed your products. You've changed your niches, you're building your store out, you're swapping products. Maybe if you are running ads for whatever reason, you're trying multiple things. It's like you're on this hamster wheel of trying to keep finding your winning product, right? And you've done this multiple times over the last 6 months. It's like, nah, you should not be doing that. So this is why I'm saying you need to feature or focus on one hero product, one audience, and prove that the things that you have is some stuff that people will pay for, right? The products you have is stuff that people will pay for. And that's the only job of validation. You just want to know if people want your stuff. So I have a couple of examples, right? And I'll talk about these clients in a little bit here. But Sherry Attire, owned by Lena, and Richard in the UK, these guys were already making consistent sales. They had already validated their products. And they had some proof as well. So once you've passed validation, now you get to traction. So traction meaning that you have sales and there's a dependency on you, right? Again, you might still be on that feast or famine. You don't have predictability in your business. You're doing everything. You're posting the emails, you're doing your content, you're doing all of the things. Yes, you need to be doing your content, but it's not like you have a system. It's not like you have an automated, repeated method to do any of these things. And at this stage, right, almost always founders double down on demand creation, meaning, again, content to try to get more reach, to try to get more traffic. And they're going to multiple platforms. And the thing is that that's expensive in terms of time, and it's slow. It could be slow. You're maybe hoping for that viral post. You're maybe hoping for that validation from the audience, maybe in terms of views, but meanwhile, the validation you actually need and the traction you actually need is at your store, which is in terms of sales, right? So you're working on the wrong lever. And the real fix is to actually capture that demand that exists. So let me show you exactly what that means. So I had this client, Sherry, at Taya, and she was doing okay. She was doing something like 10, 15K a month. She's here in Thailand, and she asked me, the purpose of meeting me was to try to get to a higher conversion rate. Now, her conversion rate was 0.3%. I can't imagine. You get thousands of people come to your website and you're only converting 0.3%. And so I said to her, okay, well, we can work on the conversion rate, sure, but let me have a look at your numbers. And so when I looked at her dashboard, I noticed something that I think a lot of people miss, which is she wasn't capturing the audience that she already had. So I'm going to tell you what I did, and hopefully that'll help you in terms of what to do to capture the audience you already have. Okay, so one is we set up email marketing. Now, not just any email marketing, we set up OmniSend, which we then moved to Klaviyo. But in OmniSend, we set up abandoned cart campaigns, which obviously this is what you usually would use an email marketing system for. We moved all of her customers in there and we created segments. Okay, so we set up the email marketing, we got all the basic stuff done, and we also added an opt-in for discount, right? So opt-in for this discount, which then goes to a sequence where they give them the discount code, and then they go into a newsletter campaign. So we started writing newsletters and posting newsletters every single week. Okay, the other thing we did was she had a bunch of content that was viral. She had something like 200,000 followers, 250,000 followers on Instagram. TikTok was kind of growing. She wasn't really posting on TikTok. And no YouTube channel. Okay, so what I did was I said, okay, I set up a campaign. The first thing I did was I set up her ads manager because she didn't have one. Facebook ads, Meta Ads Manager. Connected everything and the pixel started getting data. Okay, then I went to audiences and I said, okay, let's go find all the people who watched videos, all the people who commented on videos, all the people who visited the page, all the people who did anything. Literally, it was like whatever action we could find. And even, once we had OmniSend set up, I took that entire email list, I put it into Ads Manager, and I said, okay, these are our customers. Then I took all the abandoned carts and I said to Meta, these are all the abandoned carts. Okay, then I set up an audience for the abandoned cart. These are the customers, blah, blah, blah. I set up the audiences to make sure that I could run retargeting campaigns. Then I took those viral pieces of content, those posts, made them ads to run traffic directly to the product, right? So now we had cold traffic going to the product, not to collections and not to the homepage. Because if you send traffic to just a general store from a product, people are going to be hunting around for this product. It's like, oh, I saw this on an ad, but now where the fuck is this product? And so we don't want that. We want people to go directly to the thing that they want, because if you're running a Shopify business or you're doing direct marketing, essentially that's what Meta ads are. You want people to be able to find the thing or get the thing that they looked at, that they saw immediately without blinking. Okay, and the results from all of that work, obviously we did a whole bunch of stuff. Like I said, we moved to Klaviyo. We updated the theme after we hit $1 million a year. And essentially it was like a 582% sales in increase in sales. But the conversion rate didn't change. And there were a couple of reasons for that. But I'm not going to talk about that right now because yes, increasing the conversion rate could help. But in terms of her niche and her audience and her product, while we tried to increase the conversion rate, the faster and easier and more profitable way was to run the ad campaigns better, work on email marketing, and do all of the behind the scenes things that need to happen to be able to gather that audience, to be able to capture that demand, is what I said earlier. Okay, so You have demand already, even if you're a new business, even if your store is new and you're not making 10K a month, yet you need to capture the demand. Validate first and then capture the demand that you gather. Okay, stage 3, the ceiling. So stage 3 is you're around 10K a month, but you're trying a whole bunch of stuff. You're working on things. Maybe you updated your theme. Maybe you put in the email marketing. Maybe you are running ads, whatever, but you're not going past that 10K mark. And so what got you here will not get you to the next stage, because it's a trap. It's a plateau that you're sitting at. And 10K is important because I think it's a mental game. There are mental barriers that each of us have. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about dollars or you're talking about, I'm in Thailand, so Thai baht, or you're talking about South African rand or Canadian dollars or wherever you are in the world. There are these numbers exist as barriers, which is 10,000, 100,000, a million. And then maybe it's like 5 million, 10 million, whatever. But most people are trying to just try to get to 10K a month. They're like, 10K a month will change my life. You know, if you're doing 1, 2, 3,000 a month at the moment with your store, with your business, and you're taking home whatever you're taking home, 10K is like gangster money, right? So people are aiming at that. And because they're aiming at that, it's also a mental block for them. And so this is where the ceiling is. It's a mental block on your capacity, and it's a mental block on just your ability to get there. To get past there. So there's two additional things that typically cause this. Okay, so the first I said was a mental thing. And then because of those mental processes, because of those thoughts, because of that limiting belief that you have, you are the bottleneck. You need to run everything, right? You're posting the ads, you're making the content, you are optimizing the emails, you're writing the emails, you're sending out the newsletters, you're finding products and sending it out and posting them on your store. You are perhaps looking at other products, you're doing research, you're trying to figure out what the market is doing. You are also getting orders and fulfilling them. It's like, dude, you want to get to 10K, or maybe you're at 10K, but you're exhausted despite the fact you have life-changing money, but you're working harder than you ever have. Okay? Then maybe you also have customer issues. Customers are complaining for late deliveries, maybe because you got sick and you couldn't send the orders out, or your supplier, or your fabric, your material, whatever that it is that you use to make the products is running out, or you forgot to place the order, or whatever the case may be, right? COVID, whatever external things happen, they do happen. Okay, you're running ads maybe, and maybe you started with low spend and you're trying to scale it, but as you scale, because maybe you don't understand necessarily how ads work, or you're trying to figure that out, it's like you're trying to deal with all of these things all at the same time, and things like fatigue on your ads happen. You can't post content as often as you'd like to. You're not running new ads, creatives as often as you'd like to, and perhaps you're just not scaling your campaign in the way that it should. You're not maybe focusing on the right products. Maybe you're looking at your store and thinking, okay, these are my best sellers, but you're not maybe validating other products. Because remember, these stages exist on a business level, and they also exist at a product level, right? At a product level, you launch a new product or even a new collection of products, you need to validate them first, because not all sales are going to happen across the business. So if let's say you have T-shirts for whatever reason, maybe you shall sell T-shirts, and you come out with a new design. You have to validate that design first. You have to test it, see if it works, see if people actually want it. Okay, so you're trying to do everything, and you're the bottleneck. And so the thing that's going to get you past that is not doing the same things better. It's about changing the approach of how you're doing it. Okay, so you're going to move from being a founder-run operator to a business owner. You've got to start putting systems and procedures and people and maybe AI or whatever it is that you can find to be able to help you work on things that are important and push away or delegate or leverage things that are not. Okay, and I'll show you what that looks like in a bit. Okay, so like I said, founder is the bottleneck and your ad structures are breaking. Okay, so this is an example of Empire Kits in the UK. As I said, they were doing something like 15, 16,000 pounds. And essentially, actually, a year before he started working with me, before I actually got into the business with him, he called me. I remember this vividly. I remember this call clearly. I remember where I was standing. He called me and he was like, dude, I've been doing this thing and I have a couple of customers. We've been doing it for about 6 or 8 months, maybe a year. And we are making some money. It's just two of us. It's just me and my buddy. And I want to know what you think. So what he was doing was he had got customers, but he was trying to use me as a validation point because perhaps he saw me as somebody who just understands business. And this was a couple of years ago. This is maybe 4 years ago. And he was like, hey, dude, like, what do you think? And I said, look, this is now your $1 million idea. He had tried some other stuff. We had run some ads. We had tried to validate other things in the past, but it didn't get traction at all. And so when this one came up and he called me, I was like, okay, you have some customers. What's your revenue? Same thing. Just asked him a couple of questions. What are you currently doing? And he gave me the data. And I said, okay, look, if you don't do this business, if you don't run this business, I'm going to take it from you and I'm going to take the idea. And I was saying that not because I was actually going to do it. I was saying that as a way to say to him, dude, like, this is a fucking good idea. This is going to make you rich. I literally said these words to him. I was like, this is going to make you rich. This is your $1 million idea. And he was like, really? I was like, hell yeah, definitely. This is the one. So he went away and he said, look, I'm not ready to work with you right now. We can't really run ads right now. We don't have enough cash flow. We're working on the process. We're working on the systems. Let me get to that point. Once he got past that point, though, a year later, he came to me and he said, look, I'm ready. What should we do? So I looked at his numbers. I looked at all of the things. There were numbers that were not available because he wasn't tracking everything. He didn't have systems in place. And so what we did was we built systems, right, to generate $235,000 a month in 24 months. Now, you might be thinking, okay, 24 months is a long time. And yes, it did take a long time. 235 a month is something like 2.4 million in sales. Right now, obviously, we didn't just get there. We scaled it accordingly, right? We had validation. I had to validate the ads. We had to find the system, validate that the system works, test it, put some more volume in, test it, iterate, change, make things better. So here's what we did. We built systems that didn't require him to make every decision. Meaning, in automations, we made sure that if customers were looking for certain things, or they sent in a quotation, they wanted a product made, there was a system in place so that there wasn't as much bottlenecking on Richard's side because he was the only one in sales at that point. He was running some ads, but they were not performing. They were generating some leads, but they were not set up properly in the ads itself. While they were created well, ad copy was not great, or they were good. Like I said, they were generating leads, but there's always room for improvement. And then we moved from a single product focus to a proper system where we knew exactly what the products were that people were looking for, and these leads came through a system. Now, not a typical Shopify store where people can just buy something on the store. These are customized products, and so people have to send some information in first, and then we send a quotation, we send an invoice, and then the customers pay, and we make the products for them. So, he had some reporting in place. I put in more structure for the reporting so that we could start seeing some numbers. And so at this stage, right, like I said, we've got some traction, we've got some scale, and these systems that I've put in place for many of the businesses that I've worked on have helped grow the business in a sustainable way, meaning the founder is not an operator anymore. The founder is more of a business owner. The systems are doing the work. People are doing the work. AI is now doing the work. And these businesses are growing because of that. And so far, up to now, I've generated something like $7 million in revenue for these businesses that maybe have not quite gotten past that point. And so then you start to scale because now you've got the systems, you're less operational and you're more of an owner. And stage 4 is really good. Stage 4 is a good place to be because now you have demand, you've validated your products, you have fulfillment, which is proper and working. You have cash flow, and maybe you have a team, systems, AI, right? You have some solutions in place. But the business starts to crack under pressure under its own growth because you can't push it further than what the bottlenecks are, right? So, for example, you get an influx of leads. And here's like one question that I like to ask founders is, if I were to double your leads or double the sales volume in your business tomorrow, would you be able to handle it? And so now you're thinking like, okay, well, yeah, sure, I can capture the orders, but can you fulfill them in the same time period that you're promising? Can you deliver the same quality? Can you give the customers manage the customers' expectations, or give them what they expect right out the gate, as if you were not at that stage, right? Then there's cash flow issues that might happen, because when you double your business or you scale your business up, you need to invest in certain things. You need to spend, you're spending on ads to grow, or you're spending on content to grow, to generate more traffic. And that's an investment. You've got to pay for that upfront, right? When you fulfill on the orders, there's factory issues, there's things that could go wrong in terms of customers' orders, especially if you're doing customized offers, customized products, right? There's a bunch of things that hit your cash flow, that hit your business and your financials, that even if you have one bad month, because your expenses are usually fixed, you're going to struggle, and you're going to, things start to break. Then you've got fulfillment issues, like I said, where orders are going out slow, customers are complaining, returns are coming in because the quality has dropped down, you can't keep up with customer service, and it's just that scaling is a challenge, and you can't really get past there because you're still in the day-to-day operations. Now, at this stage, you could be doing $1 million a year. This is my honest opinion, is that I think you could get to $1 million even with these issues, because if you really think about it, that's $80K a month. And depending on what your AOV is, I think it's more than doable. So an example of this is Shark Collective, right? I don't have a slide for this, but one client that I had grew 320%, almost 320%, had decent ROI. It was a $700 product that actually became very, very popular. It was a dress, and I scaled the ads on that particular product because the ad went viral, not the content. The ad went viral, and she couldn't fulfill on the orders. We had to pause the campaign, put the product on pre-order, and people had to wait something like 2 months before they could get this dress. A lot of people were upset. People were trying to order for Valentine's or for whatever events that they were going to use this dress for. It was a big deal. But nonetheless, there was demand. And so if she was able to sort out her delivery issues, she would have been able to build a premium store focusing on just high-end fashion. I no longer work with them. I'm not sure exactly what they're up to now, but that was a really good experience for me in terms of being able to say, okay, well, we have a validated product, we have traction, we have demand, and we have scale in terms of ads and orders, but there's no scale in terms of fulfillment. So, it's like sometimes you have premium products that are expensive and take a long time to fulfill. And if there's huge demand for it, then when there is huge demand, there are strategies that you can use. You increase the price because demand is there, and you put people on a wait list, and you manage their expectations. You say, hey, like usually we deliver this in 6 to 8 weeks. Is that okay? Like if you don't, it's fine. We'll refund you the money or whatever, or we can give you a store credit and you buy some other stuff that's available now. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up in a little bit, but I want to ask you a question. What stage are you at? As I was talking, as I was going through it, comment below, comment on this video, comment in the post in the community, inside of Growth Circle. What stage are you? Are you at validation, where you don't have consistent buyers from strangers, from cold audience yet? You have some traction, maybe stage 2, you have some traction. Sales do exist, but they're inconsistent, and you are operator. You are doing fucking everything. Okay, stage 3, the ceiling. Are you stuck at 10K and just doing more isn't quite working? Or stage 4, are you at scale? You think you're at scale and you're growing, but you're still, things are still broken operationally. So let me know where you are in the comments below, and let's go on to the next stage. or let's bring this baby home. Okay, so the stages, every stage has one bottleneck, right? And sometimes it's more than one bottleneck, but usually it's one thing that if you fix will get you to the next stage. And some things will take longer to fix. Sometimes some things will take shorter. Sometimes some things you just don't, you fix it and it's a forever fix, right? And when everything moves, you are fine, right? So in validation, you need to focus only on validating your offer. In traction, you make sure that you're capturing that demand. In the sealing stage, you are the founder and you need to move, you're an operator and you need to move more to a more structured founder-owner role. And in terms of scale, you need to figure out, well, can your infrastructure, your ads, your content, your fulfillment, your customer support, and all of the things that go on in your business, even the admin things, can you scale that to absorb the growth? And so, like I said, right, I've been doing this for 11 years plus, been in business before doing online marketing, 220 businesses, and the pattern is pretty much the same, right? You solve one problem per stage, and you're pretty much good to go. And when you solve one problem, you usually are opening up another problem or a bunch of other problems. And so that's obviously, each problem should actually be an opportunity, or you should see it as an opportunity to grow, because you should get excited. It's like when you have a fulfillment problem because you're at scale, like, oh, cool. Now I know where the problem is. Let me solve that problem. Because if you're still at validation phase and you're trying to run ads, it's like, well, you don't have a proven product yet. Yes, you can run ads to validate. Like I said earlier, I validated this topic with ads, but also I'm at a different stage in my business, right? So you need to figure out where you are first. And so here's what I'm going to offer you is the truth, right? Is that tactics don't scale. Sure, you might be watching YouTube videos, you might be looking at me even and saying, oh, these tactics are great, let me go implement them. But they may not necessarily help you get out of those stages, right? And this is the stuff that I wish that people had told me. I learned all of these principles through trial and error for myself and also for my clients. And the thing is, it's like, don't make expensive mistakes. Don't make mistakes that are unvalidated, that are unproven, that you're not capturing that demand, that you're just not doing the right things, because people online, who are talking about different things might be at a different stage. Maybe they're not calling you out in terms of, oh, this is your specific problem. This is the stage you're at. And so this is why you need to see where you are first. You need to take a good look at yourself and look at your business, look at your products, look at the market, all of the factors, and figure that out first. So like I said, 11 years, 220 brands. I've gone through these examples already, but I just want to sum it up. And I'm not trying to impress you, right? These are obviously businesses that have done well. Chariot Tire, $1 million. Richard at 235K a month in pounds. Chariot Tire, which I spoke about, doing 319%. And then, 7 million in sales over sort of the lifetime of me doing this online business stuff, despite the fact that Sherry was at 0.3% conversion rate. She came to me to solve her conversion rate issues. We didn't solve that. We solved the scale issues. So, the next step I think is super important. Like, I'm making myself available. I'm putting this out there right now, is that I am here. My calendar is open, right? So if you go to bridget.com/diagnostics or diagnostic, you can pick a time and come chat to me. It's not a sales call. All I'm doing is I just want to talk to people and I want to understand where you are. I want to help put you into a stage, right? Figure out what that stage is that you're in, and I'll help you figure out how to get to the next stage. And I've given you some solutions on this video and on this training, but it's one of those things where sometimes speaking to somebody, sure, you could ask ChatGPT, you could ask Claude, you can ask all these tools about the stages. You can even maybe take the transcript from this video and put it in and figure that out, give it your numbers. But this is one of those things where real business owners know their business better than an AI can. AI can look at your data, it can look at your content, it can do all of the things that it can right now, but it's not quite there yet in terms of looking at the practical side of every business. I saw a video today actually where it's like, okay, if you think about where does AI feature in our lives right now, obviously these AI models are trained on all the top information, right? All of the books, all of the knowledge that exists, but it's also trained on all the stupid bullshit, all the lies, all the stuff that just isn't validated, that isn't even true, of theories or opinions that people have. And this model is now fed with kind of, and giving you answers from a mixed bag of what's good and also what's really bad. And so if you don't give it the context, and if you don't tell it exactly what you're looking for, and like I said, give it the context that a call, like taking a call with me, just with a few questions, I'll be able to diagnose and figure that out. And AI might not be able to, because for whatever reason, maybe you're not prompting properly, maybe you're not giving the right information. I'm not saying you can't figure it out, but it's like, take a 30-minute call, book with me in the next couple of days, and within a couple of days, you know exactly what you need to do. So like I said, bridget.com/diagnostic. We got on. There's no sales. We're just, it's not even generic. I'm going to go through your data. I'm going to look at your store, look at your products, and we're going to see what's going on, right? So if you're at the stages, we'll talk about that, and we'll figure out what the next steps are for you. Okay, 4 stages: validation, traction, the ceiling, and scale. And we need to fix the things in each of those stages. We need to validate first, do all of the things so that we can actually get to 10K a month. Now, you might be thinking, oh, but I thought you were going to talk about products, or I thought you were going to talk more about AI, or I thought you were going to talk more about content, thought you were going to talk more about traffic. If you really think about it, traffic is the last thing you need, because more traffic on a broken problem is just the same problem still broken. You're not solving any problem, right? You need to find the problems first, find validation, get traction, and then you can scale. I asked you some questions. Drop those comments in the thing below. What stage are you at? And then also, I want to know, I'd love to meet you, right? So come to the call, bridget.com/diagnostic, like I said, and let's get you going. Cool. Thank you. If you're watching this replay, I appreciate you. Take care.